I always feel like it's a lot harder to let your mind wander, and you really have the, like, you are here, you are learning, there are people around you who you can also ask follow-ups, even if they're not the presenter. The energy of the room really helps you stay in the mindset of, I'm going to be learning about things, I'm going to be experiencing this world a lot more directly.
My talk is how to affect the future of C++ standard in 60 minutes. If you booked it yesterday, it was a 90 minutes because I forgot to update my title from CPP now to CppCon. So if you just sit here, you are marginally changing to the future of C++ standardization. And if you do a little bit more work, you're gonna make us a way better place. So a little bit about myself. As I just said, I recently graduated from University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. Yay, I'm a core contributor of Beman Project, which is the project I want to talk about. And I'm currently building accelerators at TensorTorrent. And I'm looking for new cool friends that can just like, hey, you are fresh in the industry. Let me tell you all the cynical things about this industry. So I get depressed and stuff. And sorry, this is going to be a recurring thing of this presentation. I hope I don't have to do that this much, but I have kind of a Gen Z humor. I'm also looking for new colleagues. If you are experiencing embedded engineering, automotive, HPC, performance critical applications, we're building accelerator chips for neural network computing. If you're interested in that, please come talk to me. And I do not represent my employer, and this talk has nothing to do with whatever I do at work. And I also want to stress out, like, very significantly, who I am not. Okay, there's two people here getting the joke. I'm not an Ohio State graduate. I'm a U of M graduate. And, of course, and I'm also not a C++ developer with decades of experience. So I'm kind of delivering my point of view on like stuff from a kind of a junior perspective. And I do think this is valuable. And I especially want to stress that I'm not an ISO member who knows the ins and outs of the standardization process. I am not a standard library committee member. I do not think I should be one yet because I'm still learning so much. I'm going to start my talk, this is the second time I say this, with urban planning, which is completely relevant to our conversation. It fascinates me. I spent way too much time during school looking through like old planning documents and newer planning documents, and just sitting like planning commission meetings and listening to whatever the heck's happening. I like it, and I find it fascinating because it affects everybody. Like the fact that we're sitting here probably because some years ago, a group of developers bought this plan of Gaylord to Denver or city planning, and they somehow decided it's a good idea to build a convention center in the middle of nowhere. It requires both long-term visionary and practical investment because they are very constrained on resource, but sometimes leaving out a special place for future development are very important because it's really hard to revert bad choices. Highways are really expensive to maintain, water lines, you name it, and it kind of makes or breaks a place. I know people kind of argue that it's the people who makes or breaks a place, but if like there's no building here, we will not be here, right? And I think this is where I connect. If I just change the last sentence here, make or break a language, this is the underlying language evolution. I feel like this represents really good what like language evolution is. It affects everybody who uses tool. This is if you are like some edgy game developer who does not use standard library and think it's shit, you are still impacted by the core language features that are introduced because standard library having a new construct. And it also requires long-term visionary and practical investment, like context where we do not have the manpower to do everything all in one single standard. So we have to, foresee what problems we're gonna have, and we need to push it and have this long-term thinking while understanding that we are very constrained on resources. And it's really hard to revert bad choices. C++ are famous for some of its horrible defaults and initializer lists and vector bools, but we gotta live with it. And of course, the urban planning part is not really panning out in the States, isn't it? Because this is, I think, quite a famous picture on what new urban hellscape it looks like in the States. And I do kind of question when you look at this and you just step back and you be like, is this really where we want to live? And I do think the same applies to language. We will in the future, or here, we're looking at choices made back then and think, oh, is this really what we want for the future of language? Is this really something that I want to keep interacting with? And in urban planning context, the core tool is something called community engagement meetings. It's as boring as it sounds. Usually it's a sticker stamped on walls on the impacted area. It's how boring it is I cannot find a picture of it. Nobody really pays attention. So when you go to when you show up at the actual planning meeting, and it's usually the people who are just have very opinionated ideas and have some bad takes, and they have extra time, and greater people who lives in the impacted region are not involved. And I kind of argue that this is also very much with accessibility, because you need to be sitting in the room listening to a 2-hour meeting and understand the nuances. And I'm getting there. I'm getting somewhere, at least. I think now that we look at language evolution, it should be a lot easier, right? Because if you think about it, language proposals, which is how we evolve standardization, is kind of like those people on Reddit who post their personal libraries that they think are really cool. And they usually what they do is they post a GitHub link, and everybody go check it out. And if it's really good by word of mouth, everybody start using it. And then I would imagine, as somebody who's in college, language standard library development should probably work like something like that. And it's easier, way easier. You don't need to go to a meeting room, and I probably understand what the heck's going on. As I mentioned before, how do we really evaluate a new library, right? We go to its GitHub page. We read through the README, which is often short, concise documentation on what this library does, a single motivating example, and you will just look through the document, you just pull it, and you start messing around with examples and plugging in to your own toy project, and later on, if you find this is an exceptionally good idea, you put it in prod and you break everything. And but when I tried my hand on understanding some of the newer library construct, I find this is not the case. We do something called papers, which are 20, 30 pages long. And I've been told the actual useful part is the div to the actual standard, the actual specification, which is standardized, is not code. I've been trained at school for 4 years, in hobby project for 3 years, and 2 months on new jobs. I can parse a struct really quickly and understand what it does, and I can probably know how it interacts with other parts of the system, but I cannot read standardized because it's paragraphs of paragraphs, 20 pages. And the standardization process is opaque. You have to be a guest or a member of ISO to even get into the discussions to understand why choices are made and to understand if your concern has been heard, or if you just want to check if you're asking a dumb question or not. And there's also not a central place you look up implementation. You usually, like I referenced, Reddit is where I usually find people posting stuff, and also YouTube and stuff like that. And you usually always get directed to GitHub. I'm familiar with GitHub or GitLab when somebody feels like it. It feels off, like exploring standard library proposals, because they are libraries. So I think we need a new, this is not necessarily new. We need a more accessible way and a more uniform way to evaluate library proposals as libraries. We have such great tool chains that's built from this few decades of improvement: GitHub, Git, GitHub issues, discourse, and all these standard way of us, or not standard, everybody used to this kind of working. I think we should bring ordinary folks who are just interested in the next evolution of cplusplus closer to this ideal, where it is almost as if somebody posted on Reddit, but instead of Reddit, it is a very scary, few thousand pages booked long document that is beyond production, that is supposed to be beyond production ready. And this is kind of what my personal pitch or my personal understanding of what the Beman Project is. If you talk to folks that is not me, who started the Beman Project, they will tell you a different story. But I think this is what Beman Project is. I think we think it's better to look at it as an accessibility project, an accessibility project for both people who are interested and also for library implementers. What we are a collection of library proposal implementations. We're literally a GitHub organization. You can look on our GitHub, and you can see all the repos available, and you can check them out, and you can play around it. And we want to be ready for production. That is the goal for every single implementation, because Standard Library is should be the most production ready thing ever to be done for software of this kind of scope. And we also want to be an accessible platform of feedback cycles and discussions. I want us to have breadcrumbs. I want when people search up, I want to know, for example, optional, why some edge case is optional. I want people to search it, and if it's hosting Beman Project, a attached issue showing up or attached discourse thread showing up. So you can look through all the design choices or reasonings behind some of the implementation details, and you can learn a lot about the language. You can get a better understanding of what the next standard is gonna look like. And this is a little bit heartwarming. We're also folks. We're also a welcoming community of folks interested in advancing the CppCon standard. We are a group of people who's highly identified as very interested in the nitty-gritties of the language or just simply the evolution of language. And when nerds talk to nerds, they want more nerds to join. And that is a good feedback cycle for stuff of this scale where it's impacting anybody who's going to be consuming CpplusPlus. So this is our mission statement. I know I kind of approach our mission statement from another angle, but the ultimate documented goal for us is to support the efficient design adoption of the highest quality CpplusPlus standard libraries. And my view to it is more accessibility, more transparency, more folks, easier to test stuff out. Library proposals be like libraries. And for the greater CpplusPlus community, as I said, library as libraries accessible. And for library implementers, this means that there's people who are interested in just trying out new tool chains or new infra that are exceptionally great with working with existing tools like CMake, GitHub Actions. That is painful. And this is not officially a place for them to experiment with it, but they come in and they contribute best practices to us so that library implementers only need to care about the implementation itself. It does not need to care about, hey, am I doing the CMake correctly? Hey, is this export target correct? Hey, will upstream be able to consume me if I export to a package library? Oh, is the CIM running correctly? And how does GitHub work? And here, because I acknowledge I have no idea how ISO works, Ingbal volunteered instead. She wanted to get a little bit more context surrounding this idea of publishing libraries as library proposals as libraries, and the fact that it is not a new thing at all. And she's going to talk a little bit about history and to not have me misinterpreted whatever's happening.
Thank you very much. All right, so first of all, thank you very much. Oh, thanks. So I just, thank you very much, by the way. So we talked, so first of all, nice to meet you all. I'm Library Evolution Chair. That is the group that was referred to, the one that is inside of the standardization process that works on standardizing libraries. I'm also one of the Beman project leads, as I do care about this topic as well. I was, and thank you so much, River, for inviting me. So I just wanted to give you hints on what we really do care about from my experience. And I've been doing this role for 3 years, not forever, and the committee have been existing way more than when I was doing this role. But I just wanted to give you a bit of a background. So when we standardize libraries, we do care about implementations and other things we do care about those things very deeply. And you can see here the link that I've posted that is a link to the Library Evolution group GitHub. So we want to make sure that people do aware of what's happening with the proposal. So if you go to the GitHub C++ link that you see here, you can actually see the evolution of the standard, the issue tracker there tracks different stages of proposals. And some proposals have links to their implementation there, some proposals have them on Godbolt, etc. The second thing I wanted to show you is that, as River is saying, it's very important for us to do look at field experience. As you can see here, the checklist that we do before we forward a proposal, and we have here field experience, implementation experience, usage experience, and deployment experience. So I just wanted to thank River for his enthusiasm, but I also wanted to give you the broader spectrum of what we're trying to do in ISO, and we will be really excited to see your comments, your inputs, and please go into the GitHub in general and go over the issue tracker and see the states of the proposal. Now I'm going to give back. Thank you, River.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so that's some context from ISO, and I think something else we should add is this is not being designed as a requirement for any paper to get in. It's just, we think it's very logical for us to build a common space for hosting library implementations. And not a lot of times, but sometimes a library implementation contributors are not paper authors. So, hey, if you just care about implementing cool libraries and have the bragging rights about, hey, I implemented a feature of cplusplus, hey, you can interact to us. But if you want to get like a little bit more details, we also encourage discussion on papers in our own issue trackers and discourse. But you can also check out LEWG's official GitHub. Okay, so I think everybody probably got the pitch I'm giving out and all the disclaimers involves trying to give. And Beman Project was actually a pretty young project. It was created at CPP Now last year, about I think May? Yeah, May, okay. So it's been like a year and almost a half. So what have we done this past year? I want to give library highlights because we are, in principle, we want to provide libraries. And I want to give specialized to Beman the Optional, whose author is right here. Stand up, Steve. With his gray hair. So how many people, wait, so I'm gonna do a pop quiz. What happens when you put a reference typing in optional right now? It does compile? It doesn't? Does it not allow it to be compiled? What is it undefined? Is it ill-formed? Is it I'm gonna shit my pants?
Put a standard browser.
Standard compiler, yes, that is. If you want to know more, oh, damn it, I forgot to change the slides. Steve is giving a talk later this week about stud optional tref at CppCon, not CPP Now, I'm sorry. If you're interested in more details about it and it's really interesting, please go to his talk. I know it seems like a very easy very easy construct, but you can learn so much from it. This is the most mature project within Beman, and I think it's one of the first Beman projects, if not the first Beman project. And it fills an intentionally left open hole in stud optional. Originally, from what I've been told, originally when they designed stud optional, they kind of left this tref thing out because they're unsure if you wanna, when you assign to your optional tref, you want to change what optional holds or you want to change what tref points to. If you don't want to know the answer to that, go to Steve's talk. And this also implements give stud optional range support, which just makes it into you can adapt the range out of it. And they are already in 26 drafts. So if you are interested in backporting it whenever 26 comes out, I think optional supports cplusplus 20. If you want to backport it in your own project, you can just grab it off from Beman. And this is this is an example I steal from Steve's slides, but I changed the cat name to my cat. So let's say you get you say find cat, and maybe this is within the scope of your room, and you want to mutate the cat, whatever that means, like give it like pet it or feed it. You get a cat ref because cats be mysterious and hides under the table or sink or whatever they do because I cannot find them sometimes. This effectively replaces currently when people have this pattern, they return a optional cat pointer, which gives this question of, hey, if this optional it has a value in it, is it possible for the cat pointer to be no? Is it possible for your mom to say, hey, I found the cat, but then just tells you, I have no idea where the cat is? So it's nice. And it enables future niceties that can be added to containers. Like, for example, map, we can, maybe this is a proposal that we can add like a get member function that you give, when you give a key, it returns the optional of the value type, of the map type, instead of you having to do this whole end of iteration check. It's a little bit more ergonomic. It's quite cool. And you can probably imagine your own containers doing stuff like this. I think it's really helpful. And according to Steve, Beman helped him by exposing it for more attention. And this leads to external contributors coming in, finding a major bug in implementation that also exists wide across. I've been told it's optional can be stolen. Again, if you want to know the details, go to Steve's talk. And library also says, I don't have to understand more GitHub Action than I need to. As the person who wrote most of GitHub Action code, I can more than agree, because nobody should be required to understand GitHub Action than needed. It's kind of like CMake. I argue CMake's better. Is Vito here? Vito's not here. Good. There are still leftover infrastructure cleaning work that needs to be done. If anybody who's interested in this, this can help us publish optional on BCPKG so folks can consume it a little bit better. So if you have some spare time, come talk to me. If you're a student, you want to learn how this stuff works, if you want to make some contributions, come talk to me. I'll tell you exactly what needs to be done. And this is also the first library we have that is currently under production-ready tech, but has a caveat: its API may undergo changes. What this means is, you can also see this thing, which links to, ta-da, the Beman maturity model, which is kind of what this is hinting at. The lifetime of a Beman project heavily pings on what the underlying paper is, right? Because we want the core idea of it is to distribute the future of standardization proposals, the future of standard library out as proposal implementations. So if ISO says, hey, you need to change this, you need to change that, we're gonna listen to ISO. So depending on it, it's gonna be a breaking change. But this does expose you to the future. And it sounds cool, and also if it doesn't fit your use case, you can be the person who's breaking everybody else's code, but also later on when it's actually in a standard, be like, yes, this is such a good idea, and I'm glad I proposed it because I use it in production or I used it in my Tory project, and I think this usage pattern is really helpful. So here, when the library implementation just got submitted, maybe the repo got created yesterday, maybe it's a big project, maybe we're still working on some tests. This is the gray dragon, which is under development, not ready production use because. And then when we evaluate that it has sufficient tests and it meets some of our standards, we evaluate it as production ready. That means we think it's a very high quality library that you should go try out, and please try it out. And then once the underlying draft gets approved, it becomes this colorful dragon, which, I still haven't changed it, is meant that it's production ready and a stable API, is as good as standard library is. And I think this is a hidden perk of Beman, is when we have some iterations of standard libraries, you're able to say, hey, I would like this 26 feature, but I'm stuck in 20 because it's I don't know, it's really hard for your company to upgrade. And you can check out if Beman have an implementation, and we'll still maintain it. And you can use it as backport for 2 standardization cycles, which is what we figure out that the usual lag time between adoption and new standards. And I would say this is very useful. I have seen so many re-implementations of stud span in a 17 code base. And then later on, it becomes dragon jerky, as I like to call it. It becomes red and sad because it's retired. This can also happen when an underlying paper gets rejected. This is stud dump, which from my understanding, wanna implement basically Python Sprint. If you're passing multiple items and it formats it as still format with space as delineator between them and get dumped out. But unfortunately, the proposal got dumped. Good, everybody's still listening? Because people don't find they have enough time on working on this. And this is another example I want to give is AnyView. Patrick Roberts, who's the author and one of the co-authors of the paper, contributed this implementation. It targets 29, but it's not officially 29 because there's not, yeah. Because ISO. What it does is right now, if you want to pass views around, like for example, everybody have their when they break a view, you see that horrible dump of compiler vomiting out, hey, this is a filter view pass with a transform plus with filter, and you don't want to type that out, and that's like when you use auto, right? But you cannot do that across interface boundary because you don't know what the heck this thing does. And if you want to do it across linkage, then this is unlinkable because this is a template and blah, 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 blah. Now with AnyView, it provides a type erasure on this is a kind of view that holds an element type, and you can say that what kind of view it is. Maybe it's input range, maybe it's input output and stuff like that. And I specifically want to include this AnyView because later on after CPP Now, after interacting with Patrick Roberts, I become pretty good friend with him, and I learned a lot from him. Not only from understanding the implementation of Beman AnyView, and also understanding how type erasure work and how concepts in other languages work and stuff like that. It's such a learning experience to me. I think we need more folks to be in this project so we can learn from each other, so we can educate the next generation of folks who's gonna become cynical after you tell me all the cynicalness of this industry. But the library also said, now I have a community of folks that is obligated to talk to me. And that's his main selling point for Beman. I've been told by him that he felt cringe after seeing me coding that, but I think this kind of illustrates the core idea of Beman pretty well as well. We are, after all, a bunch of folks, a bunch of nerds who's interested in this. And the library authors are interested in more use case examples of AnyView. So if you find spots that will make sense for AnyView, try it out and post an issue and says, hey, this is how I tried it out, and this is how it worked out or how it did not work out. And if you are an extra chat, check out the performance impact and let us know how it goes.
Actually in this conference, he just gave a talk, so feel free to reach out to him as well.
Oh, I did
He's
not
the author
know
of the
that.
paper, yeah.
Yay!
And Levent and Louis beyond, but yeah.
Yay! The paper author of AnyView is here, so you can go talk to him, even though that is not the person who's you're obligated to talk to me. But so we have I did not update this after CPP Now, which is about half a year ago. We have 16 projects happening right now. I think we have more. Most of these are still in flight. People are still implementing it, and we have had quite a sizable discussions and PRs and issues. We are pretty active, is what I'm trying to get here. I actually maintain place vector, and holy crap, it's different from what I understand vector from school. And all of the projects are actually on Compiler Explorer, so this is truly fun if you wanna just see, oh, I want to try to use iterator interface and see if it works on my idea and if it compiles. Thank Gabal for having such a fantastic tool, and thank I think Radu and Doris at Beman Project, who's trying to shove it into Compile Explorer. Thank you, Mapbold. If you're interested in contributing to any single library, if anything here looks interesting to you, like contributing implementation, or as simple as just checking it out, say that, hey, this is my usage experience. I'm neutral, I'm happy, or I'm unhappy with the implementation, or the idea of this construct. All of them are very valuable. And we would love to have any kind of conversation with like library usage, because those are, as Ingbal hinted at, core parts moving forward a paper and evaluating a paper and changing a paper for the better future. Also, I want to point out, this is also a fantastic spot to contribute your new libraries. Jeff, do you have the shirts ready? What's everybody's favorite or most look forward to like center library proposals? If you answer anything, we'll give you a shirt. That may or may not fit, that probably fits you. Task? Yay! Task is already a Beman library, and Demar made a talk on it.
Okay, you gotta throw it. But by the way,
Sorry.
task is already in.
Yeah.
Oh, Task is already in, yay!
Yeah, it is.
It's not done. Yeah, there's a contribution as well.
Anybody else? What else? Yes. UTF View, fantastic. UTF View is also a Beman project. That is.
What's that? You got double extra large? I do. I have one of those in my hand.
You didn't get one of the candidates.
Yes, lady over here.
I'm really excited for optional with references.
Yes, optional with references. That is so original. Yay, Steve's gonna be so happy. You are going to his talk, right?
I think so, yes.
Yes. The dude in the back with the blue shirt.
What size do I need?
Synchronized value.
What?
Synchronized value.
Synchronized value.
Synchronized value. This is the first time I heard it, but yes, it sounds really cool. I'm sure it's gonna be really fun to implement, because it just sounds like.
Let me answer that one because
Yes, go ahead.
As it turns out, I also have a personal interest in that, and if you're interested in implementing a Beman library, that one is one that's pretty straightforward, I think, and so it's a great, I think, starter library, if you will, and we definitely should be proposing that for 29. That's something I'd like to see. So.
And I will talk about how you can start your own libraries right after this. So you are obligated now because you are getting a T-shirt and you're volunteering.
Sorry.
Oh.
Super extra large. Whatever you have.
Okay. I'll get there.
Who else? One last. Yes, the dude with a really nice hat.
Really looking forward to the networking.
What? I cannot hear it.
Stage tomorrow as well.
What?
Target
Oh, networking! Yay! We have implementation hours too, but yes, come check it out, come use it, and let us know how it works out.
Not in yet, but targeting 29.
Okay.
Cool.
I think I can steal one more. The dude with you guys do the rock paper scissors. You two over there. Yes. What? Units.
29 as well. You should
Yes, that
It's around.
that we do not have implementation of that yet, but that is something that's on the table. A lot of folks that they're interested in it as well. I guess I'll just exhaust it. And the dude with the black Boost.org T-shirt.
Yeah.
What? In-place vector, you should come talk to me because I maintain it. And I think it's to the point where we should try usage of it and we should be able to move it to production ready stage. Yay, okay, so I'm gonna start talking about, okay, I think I'm gonna wait for the T-shirt to be distributed.
I don't know what we have left now. I don't think we have any. Sorry, is there another? I think we got. Is there somebody else? Oh, over here. Okay, so medium. Is that? Do you have a large? We have a large. Large.
Sorry. Okay.
Let him continue.
Yay, everybody got their t-shirt besides of people who did not speak. I not only were there like 16 libraries that we're implementing, I also think the first year we spent a lot of energy and time, definitely a lot of meeting times figuring out our infrastructure and how we want our workflow to work out. It's not fully done yet. There are still questions remaining on packaging and on releasing them to packages. If you're interested, come talk to me, Vito, or Brett Brown sitting back there. Yay. But I would like to give everybody an overview of the infrastructure we have set up for folks who are interested in contributing. I contribute a lot of them myself, so I'm quite proud of it. Beman.exemplar is the entryway into how we organize or at least deliver our infrastructure. This is the template you use to start off your Beman implementation. It's Beman's answer to minimize setup frictions for library authors and also library users. I should have put that in. So bootstrapping a Beman library is easy. You just go on GitHub and click use this template because GitHub settings doesn't really carry over nicely unless you use this GitHub template, which is not really a template because it kind of sucks. But we added a cookie cutter template to exemplar. So the next thing you do is you go into the cookie cutter and you tell it all your secrets. You're gonna make optional, you're gonna have it support from 20, the paper, or planner, thanks Eddie. Owner, I'm not Steve, so I'm fake Steve. Description, optional with a ref, and you can put a Gobble link if you're already done with it and you have already had a Gobble link. And you can start hacking. Everything's gonna be set up for you. We have a bunch of, we have CI, we have LinkedIn, we have the stuff that needs to be done with GitHub. And I think that is, oh, and CMake, I forgot. That was the most important part. So comes with a template, CMake. It turns out it's actually really hard or really tricky to get your CMake right, even for a trivial library. Brad Brown, who's sitting in the back, stand up, Brad Brown, yay! He contributed and streamlined our CMake process, and he used his expertise as infrastructure lead at Bloomberg, right? To curate the best startup, simplest startup CMake possible, and he has a talk on the best practices that he thinks are very valuable, and he actually uses exemplar as the example for his talk, which I think is so cool. And because I don't understand CMake, you should go to his talk to understand those. But I do understand CMake preset because it's a long JSON file and it gets kind of painful when you make it. But it provides a one-line approach to run CMake config, build, and test. So you don't have to guess, oh, what kind of build parameter we have. You just say CMake, I don't know why it's so long, but CMake workflow preset, and you say, oh, I want to do GCC debug. You just do it, and we figure out by our own configurations the best compiler arguments for you, and that's suitable for the GCC. Or you can also have, oh, I did not put this on that side, but we can also, we also have GNU. Is that how you're supposed to run it? GNU, LVM, AppleClan, even though I would not imagine most library implementers to support that, and MSVC, which I will put that in the same bucket as CppCon, but hey, maybe we can support that. But the CMake structure, CMake preset structure to support it is in place. And we also have two flavors of build configuration that is sensible. Of course, debug and release. When you have this debug preset on, we spend the time and energy to come up with the reasonable combination of sanitizers across all the compilers. So if you are on GNU, you are fantastic. We can enable address sanitizer, leak sanitizer, point to compare, point to subtract, and undefined sanitizers. And so some of them, so we cannot enable all the all the sanitizers, but we enable the subset that we think are the most valuable for general Beman development. And if you use like MSVC, it's known for like a substantially smaller range of sanitizer support. We can still figure out, hey, this is MSVC, this is the only sanitizers it supports, and this is the way you're supposed to pass in the argument, because somehow they like slash instead of, well, they like slash instead of slash. I don't know why. And code space support. How many people know dev container or code space? Okay, you should know that, or you should check out our code space support, because that is essentially VS Code on the web. Whenever you go to a GitHub repo, you can press, I think it's a dot button on your keyboard, or you can do, you can click the button where you usually get the git clone command. There's a code space button, and I will just bring up a virtual machine for you, and you can develop it in it. So ideally, what we strive to do is whenever folks find out a Beman project, either through like a paper, through Reddit, through just word of mouth, or even, as depressing it is, LinkedIn, you can get in, you can open up code space, you can run you can run CMake preset, and you are ready to go. You are ready to play with the example that we provide and see if it's doing what you are expecting it to do. And of course, Gobble is also supported on a lot of the repos. So if you are simply interested in the compiler output, you got that too. Thanks, Matt. Yep. And of course, everything needs to be automatically tested. I mentioned GitHub Actions, which is GitHub's CI system multiple times. We have painstakingly also done a lot of work having a very extensive CI system up. So when you create the repo, we automatically populate this unit testing matrix that is by default test across all available platforms on GitHub Actions. That is Windows, macOS, and Linux, and across all compilers, CppCon, and the other two. And Exemplar supports 17 to 23, but we have kind of informally think everybody will be at least 20. And we also provide support for CMake arguments and area sanitizers, and those are all put into a giant matrix that spins up, I think, 60 or 70 test cases to make sure that, hey, our stuff is ultra production ready and everybody can use it. And I initially drafted the system, and Eddie Nolan, who said they were interested in UTF-View? Yes, Eddie Nolan contributes the implementation of UTF-View for Beman. He's fantastic. He looked at the GitHub Actions and be like, this is so painful. I'm just gonna write it declaratively and hide all the implementation details to the back, so you can just, as a library implementation author, just look at it and you can probably read them through what these are. For example, this is to declare a GCC group test. It tests on GCC 15. You can also test on 14, 13, and whatever we support. And you can turn and set test for default, release, tsend, maxend, dub era, dynamic coverage, and be declarative as much as you want. And we will handle all the horrible mess that is GitHub Action in the backend. And we also have code quality enforcement, because you want to be able to make sure that your code is uniformly formatted, and just stuff like end of lines and training MySpace, and in the future some maybe more heavier sanitizers. We might want to experimentally try to support them. But we found out this great tool called pre-commit. Who here uses pre-commit? Yay, that's a great group of people. It's a toolbox that has a launch button on it. When usually you just press a launch button on the toolbox, but if you want to change it, you open it and it's very simple to configure. This is kind of what the configuration file looks like. When you do pre-commit install, it pulls all there's more linters down there, but they pulls all the linters down and it makes sure it's isolated correctly, and it runs the linting and tells you what's going on. And PSA, please double check if your linter tools are maintained. It actually took me a while to find good linters for all the file types that we want to support, because I know CMake linter sanitizer is something that everybody's been asking for, but everybody who tried have abandoned it. Like, I think those two examples are from past CMake linters. Either not actively maintained or crying for help. If you have extra time, contributing to those are also very valuable. But please check if the linter has recent commits and appear to be actively maintained. The list in Beman Project is being checked by me, and if you're interested in stealing config out, please go ahead. And we have a secret weapon. How many people here know Review Dog? Ooh, you are the cool dude. You're just aware of it. So what it does is when you run linter, sometimes it reformats it. Like, for example, clone format, right? It can see, and it fails the CI, but it does the formatting. It can take the diff out and format it as a GitHub Action code review. So you can just click this commit suggestion, and it just gets adopted. So for example, like when you have a small change and you forgot to run formatting, it will just tell you, hey, you only need to just click these buttons instead of running pre-commit locally, which usually is not that big of a hassle, but this is quite nice. Just be aware, if you have a giant diff and you have a giant formatting issue, this can get overwhelming. And don't be scared, it's gonna bark a little bit louder. So this is mostly my talk. I am 10 minutes. Yeah, I have 10 minutes for questions. This is a call for everybody to build a better CPlusplus, or just, it's really fun to build your own like CPlusplus libraries or to experiment it, and you're helping everybody and just checking them out, playing with it, even like spending 15 minutes on, hey, this looked like a good idea. I tried these code. I think this will be useful for this kind of place. It's gonna be helpful. Give us any feedback. However you think it's trivial, it's gonna help us a lot. If you wanna be more involved, come talk to me, come talk to Brad, come talk to Ingbo, come talk to...
But also, Wednesday morning.
Oh, also Wednesday morning. I forgot about that. Thank you for the reminder. If you are a morning board, which, okay, I should not have prefixed it with that. We have an open content that is exclusively about Beman, that is a mini hackathon, or if you're just interested in helping out and talking to folks here. We were gonna have it on Wednesday, 8 a.m., right? Yeah. Where is it?
I don't know, it's on Sked somewhere.
It's on Sked somewhere. Yes. So, anyway. So our website that we have newly built after CVP now, and we're quite proud of it. It links to the discourse that we use. We meet every Monday. Oh, I should put that here. Well, we meet every Monday on 12 p.m. EST. I put it here, and you can get the link by talking to me, browsing through discourse. It's up there. And if you want to chat and hang out with me because you are so cool, or you just so cool, or if you're interested in joining Tensorn, which is a company I work for, or want to know more about us, I'm not the spokesperson for the company, but hey, we'd like to know more people that's in our industry. Please reach out to me on my LinkedIn. Am I spelling that correct? LinkedIn, I guess it is correct. And talk to students, and this is the end of my tech talk, which is a Gen leader. Yay! Hey. Any questions? Oh, we have stickers. So who else gonna promise they're gonna implement more libraries? I'm joking.
Are there other ideas for libraries that people have?
This is actually also helpful. Yes.
Or you can say repeat.
Oh, that.
They were in the back.
Yeah.
A couple things I'd like to see. One
Yes.
is expanding the probability distributions in the standard,
Okay.
and the other is the probability functions that are in Boost.
Ooh.
So those are my ideas.
Oh yeah, this is something I forgot to mention. Even though our lifetime kind of strictly ties with the paper, but if you have an original idea and you want to try it out, Discourse is a really good place. We can give you context of if similar thing has been proposed, and if this is something you're truly passionate about, how to write a paper, we can help you with that.
And also, I just want to say there is a proposal for statistics for the standard library for 29. So if you want, I'd love to introduce you to the author, and you can work together and collaborate to implement. Thanks.
Yay. Yay, Paul.
I saw the reflection talk this earlier today, and that was really inspiring. So I think that's going to open up the opportunity for a lot of different tooling. I think Imbal, you spoke at that, like some standard way of like format as, where it could format and print any type. Other tooling, the speaker showed an example of derived debug, where it'll just give you the ability to print any object. So I think something like that would be really cool to implement and try out in Beman.
That is an awesome idea. Also, I want to mention that because we have code space support and we control the image behind it, it's currently experimental, but if you do not, like right now, no major version GCC or C-Line that supports reflection, right? But there are branches of set compilers that supports reflection. We'll be able to soon package those into code space. So even if you do not have a compliant compiler, you can just open it on code space and you can start hack around with reflection stuff. So this is a really good time to play around with reflection and probably overdo it. Anybody else have any ideas, or you have a topic you want to chat? Yes.
I don't think there are any standard library proposals for this yet, but having an argument parser for CLI programs in standard library.
There is. That was.
Echo the question.
Yes.
For the kids in the report.
Oh yes. Sorry. For the camera, lady here proposed a library for CLI parsing, command line interface parsing, and my answer is I believe there is already a paper in flight, and that it's one of the paper that we're interested on people contributing implementation to. That was.
I'm not sure it actually does parsing.
Yeah.
I think it only just unifies the arguments to the in main.
Okay, a unified.
Yeah. That's close enough.
So it's standard arms, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't do the parsing.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a much harder problem, but
Yeah.
it's a good problem to solve.
I would also bring up the point that in the reflection paper, there's actually an example of parsing implementation in reflection. But that would be interesting to see.
Nice.
So you can first go in and see this, and second, if you want, we can chat and you can show us implementation that you might think is more appropriate, and maybe we can start with it. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, so to repeat the comments here. First of all, I was incorrect on there is not a command line argument parser, but there is a standard way to access arguments now. To pass arguments. And number two is in the reflection paper, it's already kind of prototyped out or have an idea of, hey, under reflection, we're able to do command line parsing like this. Using reflection, which is going to be so cool. Yeah. Okay. Cool? Yes, Brad. Brad Brown wanna say something too.
Oh, that's going to be Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you are interested in like adopting modules for like libraries, we're doing experiments on that, and you should talk to Brad Brown and Vito about that. Yeah, it's if you want to know how to use modules, which I don't think a lot of people know. I don't know how to. We need more people who knows what module does. And all right, that's all. Okay, Yay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, River. And last thing I wanted to bring up is that we have a committee group meeting Wednesday afternoon 1. That is SG14. That's the low latency group. So if you want to be more introduced to how Standard works, you're also welcome to join that one and find out about the processes. So thank you, River. And of course, you're welcome there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yay.